Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, August 25. On this date in 1997, WCW Monday Nitro aired live from Columbia, South Carolina. In the main event, Macho Man Randy Savage and Lex Luger fought to a no contest. On this date in 2002, WWE held its SummerSlam pay-per-view. In the main event, Brock Lesnar defeated The Rock to win the undisputed WWE Championship. On this date in 2008, WWE Monday Night Raw aired live from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. In the main event, Batista defeated Kane by disqualification. This has been Today in Wrestling History, August 25.
This is Jim the Anvil Neidhart for the Hart Foundation, and you're listening to Pro Wrestling Weekly with Fearon Derry on 1490 WBCB, baby. Yeah!
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you, looking at your favorite Canadian wrestlers in honor of my vacation up to see some relatives up in Canada. And John from the Northeast claiming Wikipedia's got it wrong, The Rock Canadian. And after doing a little bit of research, he at least has Canadian roots, which is why they threw him in there. His dad, Rocky Johnson, of course, the former Worldwide Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champion from back in the late 70s, early 80s. Rocky Johnson, born in Amherst, Nova Scotia. Obviously, that doesn't mean that The Rock was born there, as The Rock was born in California, but at least The Rock has Canadian roots. Now, how far exactly does that, do we take it? We'll leave that up to debate, but at least that's why they have that on there. But it's the ties to his father, Rocky Johnson, who was born in Canada. I don't know. That's kind of like saying that I'm Canadian. I guess if The Rock wanted to, he could do some like multi-citizenship thing, like a dual citizenship or something. But I don't know. I think he's doing it. That's a little bit more than my knowledge. I apparently found out that if I wanted to, I could apply for dual citizenship. So I don't know. We'll see. It worked for Howie Mandel. It worked for Alex Trebek. Why not me as well? Maybe I'll be able to get a Canadian wrestling talk show going on as well. Okay, now I'm just shooting for the stars. All right, speaking of stars, a few of them are listed here in our news and notes as the roster has been released for the upcoming WWE 13 game that's due to be released by THQ on October 30th. Most noted is the Attitude Era mode, which has such wrestlers from back in the day as the Road Warrior Animal, Big Boss Man, Billy Gunn, Bret Hart, who we mentioned, of course, a little earlier, Bradshaw from the Acolytes, the British Bulldog, Cactus Jack, Chris Jericho from with his debut attire from back in '99, Christian, Dude Love, Eddie Guerrero, Edge, the Godfather, along with the Train from back in the day. Of course, Hawk from the Road Warriors, Triple H, both in DX and Hunter Hearst Helmsley form, Ken Shamrock, Kane, Mankind, Mark Henry from the Nation of Domination, Mr. McMahon, the Big Show, back when he came in as Paul White, the Road Dogg, The Rock, Shane McMahon, Shawn Michaels from DX, of course, The Undertaker, Vader, X-Pac, and Steve Austin. They also have downloadable characters of Mike Tyson, AJ Lee, and Damian Sandow. And that, of course, goes along with all the current WWE stars who they've got listed in there. They've got Booker T as an active member, Brock Lesnar, Brodus Clay and the Funkettes, Alberto Del Rio, of course, Punk, Jericho, Christian, Cody Rhodes, Daniel Bryan. I mean, there's a lengthy list. I'm sure you can check it out at a number of different gaming websites. And, of course, the divas are in there as well. Classic divas like Stephanie McMahon, Trish Stratus, and Lita. And even Karma's in there, which it looks like pending some sort of future. It might be her one and only WWE video game, considering everything that went down with her as far as her developments and whatnot. Also, some other news. Former NFL player and WCW wrestler Steve Mongo McMichael intends to run for mayor of Romeoville, Illinois. 54-year-old Mongo is currently the head coach of the Chicago Slaughter of the Professional Indoor Football League. I guess that's the, minor league arena type deal. The election doesn't take place until April, so McMichael said he's holding off on signing the paperwork to become an official candidate until October. And, of course, McMichael, best known for his days with the Chicago Bears and, of course, their Super Bowl team from '85, going back a ways. Now, I gave a little bit of a tease earlier, and I know you're still wondering what the heck's going on with it. Former WWE, TNA, and UFC star Ken Shamrock is accused of attacking a woman, but his defense is that he thought the woman was a man, baby. Yeah. Oh,
that's not your mother. That's a man, baby.
Exactly. Shamrock was trying to break up a fight involving two women when someone jumped on his back. He flung the person off his back and then flung the person to the ground, only to find out that it was a woman. Oops. Doesn't look like any charges are going to go against Shamrock unless, as people are wont to do, she might throw on a neck brace and try to file a civil suit. Gotta love the litigious system that we have. But that sounds like a different talk show here on BCB from noon to 1. I don't want to get into that direction. I'll leave that for Pat Monday to Friday. Yes. Speaking of politics, though, Rasmussen just released a poll this past Wednesday for the Connecticut Senate race, of course, featuring former WWE CEO and wife of owner Vince McMahon, Linda McMahon. And Linda is leading 49-46 over Democrat Chris Murphy. McMahon has a 24-point lead among independents, an 18-point lead among seniors, and a 4-point lead in favorability. So I guess if the elections were to go today, Linda McMahon would be a senator. But that's why the elections aren't until November. So obviously there's a lot of time for things to go in different directions. And as things change in the political front, at least as far as the wrestling connection is concerned, we'll have it here for you on 1490 WBCB here on Pro Wrestling Weekly. Never know what's going to happen with this thing. Of course, WWE also announcing last week, since I wasn't here, the release of the new Apple and Android apps. You know, there is now a WWE app for the iPhone as well as for the Droid. I've downloaded mine, haven't had the chance to check it out. So if you have, hey, let me know what it's like, since I was busy putting together all the info for this show as opposed to just tooling around on my phone trying to figure out what exactly to do with that. Anyway, let's go ahead and get back to the phones. We've got a couple people hanging on, including John from the Northeast, who I guess is going to dispute the Canadian connection of The Rock, or just have some other funny anecdote to say, because John's certainly known for that. John, welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
That's the stupid internet again.
Yeah.
The biggest consortium of misinformation that could be sometimes proven accurate, but not all the time.
Very true.
But, I didn't know it was that close for Linda McMahon.
Yeah, well, I guess initially leading into the primary, she was, even had she gotten past it, which at that point it was a landslide, that, she was actually trailing by 4 points. But I guess somewhere along the way she made up a touchdown and has a 49-46 lead. Now, but then again, this is also a different poll. So, depending on which poll you take, it could be, it's going to be one of those where it looks like it's extremely close.
Yeah, and you look at the bottom of the screen, it says like the margin of error is like plus minus 50% or something, just completely throwing off the measuring stick.
Yeah, and I know we've seen that. Probably the biggest glaring example, at least in my lifetime, was the Bush Gore too close to call in Florida from, 12 years ago now.
Old.
Yeah, I had a lot of that already this week, dealing with the little cousins who are now even the 14-year-old is taller than I am.
Yeah, me too. It's just it never ends. But you know what? I will say this: do you think? Let's just say she wins. Hypothetically, let's say she wins. Do you think they keep going PG, or do you think after she gets in, do they turn it up, or do you think maybe they don't turn it up because she may want to be reelected again?
Well, I don't see any reason to necessarily go from PG to Attitude Era in a week once she goes into office.
Right, like maybe like overtime, like Bret Hart when he had his his classic meltdown, and then
his meltdown from back in March of '97. Is that a possibility? Yeah, but I don't know. The concern would be that they'd be trying to reinvent the wheel by going back to the Attitude Era. Where they're kind of at now is they're trying to And I guess, for the fans of the Attitude Era, they don't like it, but as far as a business model, as far as answering to shareholders, it makes sense that they're going to have a family-friendly product to attract as many viewers to it as possible, and occasionally have an edgy moment, but otherwise continue to have it be family-friendly. And I think that regardless of whether or not she's elected, I think that's what's going to stick, because we're not just talking about ratings points. Now we're talking about shareholders trying to answer to a stock that a couple of months ago was at a 9-year low.
Yeah. Well, she could be a congressman. I'm a governor. I know.
There you go. That's actually not a bad Jesse Ventura impression.
But it just amazes me. But I want to get on to SummerSlam and talk some CM Punk real quick. I thought SummerSlam was really, really good. I think it, in terms of a catalyst and developing story and moving something along, very good pay-per-view. And I actually can't believe I'm going to say this, but The Miz, I don't know about you, but I think The Miz kind of stole the show.
Well, I will admit I did not have the chance to see SummerSlam, actually, let me rephrase that. I did have a chance to see SummerSlam. I just didn't know about it until halfway through. My cousin Ian and I were going to go watch a movie. We ended up going to the Cineplex to see The Expendables, not looking at it ahead of time. That was what he wanted to see, and I said, yeah, sure, why the heck not? And we get to the theater at about 9:30 at night, and we look, and this particular movie theater up in Ontario, Canada, is showing live the SummerSlam pay-per-view in the movie theater. So had we gotten there about 2 hours earlier, I'd have been like, you know what? Can see The Expendables anytime. Let's check out SummerSlam. But, missed opportunity.
Yeah, really. I mean, especially if it was in an IMAX, I would have to, insult you a little bit there.
No, definitely wasn't IMAX. It was one theater that was showing it. But The Expendables 2 was all right also.
It's just a shame that, that good match that they had, had to put Ray Ray on the shelf for a while. But, you know what, I'm starting to notice a theme here that between him and Mark Henry, there's about years of just talent sitting on the shelf.
Yeah, I mean, veteran talent that, and I don't think they know what to do with all these young guys that they have. And you'd figure pairing them with some guys who could kind of help put them over. I mean, you've seen what Jericho's been able to do with Ziggler, and I feel like that even didn't reach the potential that the two of them could have had. I mean, if you give them 20, 25 minutes to go, they could have stolen the show easily.
I mean, I had high expectations for that match, and then I walked away after it was done, and I'm like, man, that really left me hanging. And the next night on Raw, you knew it was going to be over for Jericho. I mean, mostly everybody knew he's going on tour with Fozzy. But that match on Raw was in some ways better than the SummerSlam match. It just felt better to me. I don't know why, but
because the stakes were higher.
Yeah, and I just felt that it was just a little bit. There was a little bit more involved in the match because it was Jericho's last night for now, until January of next year comes around and we get the Second Coming promos again. But I just felt that the SummerSlam match could have been a little bit better. I really felt like I was just left hanging on that.
Understandable, and I think you're by far not the only one.
And CM Punk, I will say this: I with titles changing hands, you were discussing that earlier. If it changed hands on that night, the pipe bomb that he dropped would not have been as impactful. I think that if you take the title off of somebody and they go out and throw a promo like that, they're just a sore loser. But yet, it's the way he won that match. He outthought Cena and out-wrestled a couple of guys. Although I did like Show. I thought Big Show was excellent in that. Did what he was supposed to do. And I really thought he had a legit shot, but they'll never put it on him. But it's the way Cena was taken down and taken out of the match that kind of put it over for me. And that's why that promo he threw out Monday night was so much better, because of the way that match ended and just overall in general how things played out in that match. It was a very good match, solid card, and that's what made those promos excellent, because there wasn't a title change, and that it made the promos that much more sense and made easier to listen to.
No question in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, it just works that way. I think when you have somebody go out there, like it would be like Bret Hart, since we're on him earlier. It'd be like him going out saying how he screwed me, that screwed me, whatever. it would be like CM Punk was kind of doing that now that he's wearing the pink and black, and it would be like a throwback. And I like the way they're going with CM Punk. He's a perfect anti-hero, whether you love him or hate him. And he's lined against the biggest target in WWE history.
Yeah, it's kind of a matter of who do you cheer and who do you boo.
Yeah, well, you can always turn on Spike and boo whatever's on that.
Oh, come on, that's not. They've been better. They still have their flaws, but they've been better overall.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. But I know you're up against the hour, so I'm going to punch out.
All right, thanks, John. Always appreciate the call.
Take care.
Oh, yes. All right, let's. We've got a couple minutes here. Let's get to Steve from Bristol, who's been hanging. Steve, welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly. Steve, you there? I guess Steve couldn't hang on. Or if he could, maybe he was in the background there. It's you got to make sure you're listening. Got to make sure you're by the phone and ready, because little bit of a tidbit. What you're hearing out on the air is a little bit later than when I'm actually talking live. So if you're listening to the radio and kind of going by that, not going to quite get there in time. All right, we've got we've got about a minute here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the local scene, courtesy of Ed from the Northeast. Ed, what's going on?
Yeah, we got live pro wrestling September 1st in Claymont, New Jersey, at a 4 p.m. bell time. Breaker Moraine and White Lotus.
Okie dokie.
And we got Shane Douglas's promotion. Where did I put that? Stevens Fire Hall in Stevens, PA, with a 7 p.m. bell time. Steve Corino versus Shane Douglas.
A little bit of an old school ECW throwback. Anyway, I've got about a minute left. Thanks so much for chiming in, Ed. Always appreciate the look at the local scene. And speaking of things coming up, can't believe 3 weeks from today already. It's going to be Saturday, September 15th from 1 to 3 p.m. right after we're done here at Pro Wrestling Weekly. D'Lo Brown will be over at George's Cards and Collectibles right over on New Falls Road here for autographs and photos. For advanced ticket purchases or more information, call 215-943-2475, or you can log online to www.georgescollectibles.com, and they'll be able to give you more information. I think you can purchase the tickets right on the website. I'll double check that, and I'm sure Doug will give me all kinds of hell if I'm wrong, because, well, he finds different ways to give me hell anyway. That's going to do it for me here. Thanks to Pat Furness for spinning the dials. I found out that Bill Melody will be back next week, back in the chair here. Don't look so excited there. I'm picking on Pat a little bit. And we'll be back with more insanity here on Pro Wrestling Weekly.
$14.90 WBCB, Levittown, Fairless Hills, Trenton.